What's good? What's good? The Raiders got all kinds of news, man. Spytech speaks. We actually hear from our head coach, Clint Kubiak. I didn't even know we had a head coach at this point. I thought he was just, I don't know what, but finally speaks, finally gets to say something. I'm already live. Um, so yeah, man, we'll talk about that. We'll break that down. The Raiders have brought in some interesting top 30 visit candidates. We'll break some of those down. Some of those were high on my list. Some guys that are on my list still haven't been interviewed yet. The Raiders say they need a safety. Why aren't any being in the top 30 visit? We'll break that down. We'll talk about that position as well. Again, welcome everybody. Welcome everybody pulling up. A kickoff. New kickoff rules. We'll break that down. And let's just start with there, right? New kickoff rules. How do y'all feel about this? The NFL, of course, had their owner meetings today, right? Everybody voted on, rule changes. One that was laughed at and was kicked out of the building was being able to trade first round picks for more than 1 year. I guess the owners laughed at that. A lot of us thought that was never going to happen in the NFL. It would be crazy if it did. Might help, might not help. We need a safety. Give Shiloh Sanders a call. LOL. Rosetown in the building. What's good, Greg Brewer? I don't know. I mean, you might as well bring him in. He can't do any worse. But he's just a box safety. We have 3 box safeties already on the roster. We need somebody that can cover sideline to sideline. You know, I don't care what round we get him in, but there's a lot of fast safeties. There's a lot of cover safeties, right? That guy that play free safety that can cover all these guys running 4-3s in the NFL now at receiver, at the slot. We need a guy that's fast that can run, and we don't have that. Jeremy Chinn's a thumper, Isaiah Palomalu's a thumper, right? We have thumpers for safeties. We have strong safeties that play in the box that are physical. We don't have free safeties that can run, but there's a lot of them in this draft. We'll probably talk about some of those. We'll get into that as well. Lorenzo Styles, man. Renzo Styles might be a sleeper, right? We have 3 4th-round picks. Does he make it to the 4th round with the speed, the size, the NFL pedigree? Do you take a chance on the Lorenzo Styles? I do. I'll take a chance on Lorenzo Styles all day long. His father, his brother. I mean, the pedigree is deep. I believe this man could be somebody that you put on your bench. You let him learn for a year. Lorenzo Styles would be nasty. It's an Al Davis pick all day long. When you're talking about speed and size for the NFL, that's totally an Al Davis guy. Now, he was there with Caleb Downs, right? Caleb Downs is, everybody said, was a top 5 pick. Some people even had him going number 1, in the NFL draft for a safety, which is absolutely crazy. But now there's some injury issues, right? There's some ligament issues, some tear issues with Caleb Downs. Where does he fall in the draft? But the guy that played right next to him and didn't play as much, but Lorenzo Styles, I think that would definitely be a sleeper. You got McWarren in there. You have Thiessen. I don't think any of those guys will be touchable for the Raiders unless they move up to the 1st round. But speed is definitely something we need in the secondary. We have it at corner, right? We already have Porter in the 4-3s, Eric Stokes still in the 4-3s, right? You have that speed on the bookends. We need that slot guy. We need that safety guy, somebody that can cover and not give up the deep pass. I mean, the Raiders were okay last year, not great, but let's get into the rule change, man. What do y'all think about the rule change? If you didn't hear about it, to me, I'm gonna give you an analogy. It's like telling a UFC fighter. All right, let's talk about the rule first. So the rule is on kickoffs, you can now do an onside kick anywhere. It doesn't have to be whatever the rule was last time, right? It had to be like late in the game or something. I don't know what it was, some stupid rule. But anyways, they're destroying the game of football is what I'm trying to say. Let me know how y'all feel about it. Like, thumbs down. But the new rule is now you can do onside kick anytime, but you still have to notify the other team that you're doing an onside kick. And to me, this is like telling a UFC boxer that yes, you could throw a spinning back fist, or yes, you could kick a dude in the head, but you have to tell him first. Like, I mean, what are we doing to the game of football, right? Does anybody remember the Super Bowl where Sean McVay come out in the second half and kick the onside kick, right? It's surprises like that that make this game what it is. And for the NFL to take away what's made this sport famous, what's made this sport, you know, dear to people's hearts, where they can't not watch on Sunday, right? And you're taking away the best parts of the game. So I don't feel like you should have to notify anybody when you're doing an onside kick. Like you're letting them know, okay, get all your best guys on the field, and we're gonna try something that rarely ever happens, but now we're gonna try it with all your best guys on the field. To me, that just does not make sense whatsoever. But let me know how y'all feel about it. Unless San Francisco 49ers get the first round pick. What are we talking about? A UFC boxer question. Fighter, whatever, standing up. I'm saying when they're standing up boxing, you know what I mean. But yeah, I think it's a dumbass rule, man. They need to fix that. Faded Raider in the building. Candy Angel, what's good? Rosetown, I got you. Greg Brewer. Troy, what it do? What it do, man? What's good with y'all? Um, But yeah, they're taking the fun out of the game. I don't understand the rule. I like the fact that they changed it, because before you couldn't even do an onside kick anytime. Now you can do it, but you still have to notify the other team. Just doesn't make sense to me whatsoever. Um, the Fernando Mendoza Ty Simpson debate, we're gonna get into that, but it's gonna be later in the show. So if y'all want to pop back in, stick around for the whole entire thing. That's good, but it'll probably be a minute before we talk to that. I want to get into the visits, right? The visits the Raiders had. Um, who they brought in, who we think they're going to bring in, right? Some interesting names on this list. Of course, we all know Fernando Mendoza. But wide receiver. Ted Hurst, a guy that was in my top 15. Casey Concepcion, a guy that was in my top 10. Jeremy Bernard, a guy that was, I think, 10, exactly 10 on the list. I just couldn't keep him out of there. Denzel Boston. If you watch this show, you know he's my number one receiver in this draft. I don't care about the speed, the size, the route running, the physicalness, the winning of 50-50 balls. Denzel Boston is just a freak to me. And that's my number one receiver. But the Raiders brought him in, talked about it. Anthony Smith from ECU. Actually, I'd be lying to you if I said I knew anything about this young man. And then Caleb Douglas at a Texas Tech are the wide receivers the Raiders have brought in to talk to. It's a good group of guys, right? Good group of guys. If you watched, I think it was my last video I did. I don't know how long it's been since I've been live. It's been a minute, but appreciate y'all pulling up. But if you watched about my last video, I talked about guys that I thought the Raiders were going to go after, right? And my criteria were guys with big hands, guys with long arms, guys that could run routes, right? It wasn't all about speed, right? If you look at Clint Kubiak, what he's done through his career, not all of the receivers have been, speedsters, right? Jackson Smith and Jigba moved from that slot guy to the outside guy and just destroyed the NFL, right? Not the fastest guy out there, but the guy that wanted it more, right? The guy that wanted it more. And we heard Clint Kubiak talk about that, and Spytek talk about the guys they're trying to bring in, right? We have already talked about this. Kind of why I don't go live every day. I say shit, and then a month later it starts to come through, starts to happen, just like the Ty Simpson and Fernando Mendoza. I told y'all there would be a huge conversation of this coming up once Ty Simpson had his pro day, because the dude's got an arm, right? But running backs, we brought in Kalen Black. Of course, the Indiana boy knows Fernando Mendoza. Nice little fit right there. I wouldn't mind, bringing him in. You have 3 4th-round picks somewhere in there. I think he could fit in that mix. CJ Donaldson, Ohio State. Another guy, I wouldn't mind bringing in, taking the load off Ashton Genty. I think it would definitely help this team. They brought in a tight end, Oscar Delp, out of Georgia. Another Georgia guy. Are they looking for another Brock Bowers? What are they trying to do here? Um, I don't see him. I don't see him taking a tight end in this draft. Really, if you're asking my opinion, just because I believe in the guys we got. I think Michael Mayer, is going to have a breakout year. I said this last year. I'm still waiting. So maybe eventually, before his rookie contract is up, the man will have, a breakout year, which, I mean, I don't know what a breakout year I'm expecting because there are a lot of receivers. They are going to run the hell out of the ball, and they do have Brock Bowers. So, you know, but they're running a lot of 12 personnel. But then um, you also have three other tight ends that are on the roster. What do they do in camp? Defensive edge wise, Mitchell Milton out of Virginia, Jack Dingle out of Cincinnati, Chris McClellan, a guy out of Missouri that we've talked about on this channel, right? I think a guy that would really help this defensive line. But then again, we got guys that didn't get to play, didn't get to show their potential. So I think Chris McClellan would definitely be something they look at. Corner Dalen Everett out of, you guessed it, Georgia. It seems like we're going to be the Las Vegas Georgias. They seem to like those Georgia players, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's a great run college organization, right? Winning, winning, winning constantly. They produce, player after player after player out of Georgia, and they seem to be, hit the NFL running, a lot of them. So, damn, that sun just came in bright. And then the big one, right? Everybody's been dying to hear this. Caden McDonald out of Ohio State, that big guy in the middle. And special teams, Luke Drazinski, kicker out of New Mexico. But let's talk about the defense, right? Let's talk about what the coaches said today. And Clint Kubiak says some interesting things that, again, we've talked about on this channel already before. We've already mentioned the fact that I believe they're probably going to be in, that 3-4 base defense around 30% of the time, 35% of the time, somewhere in there, depending on how it goes. And Kubiak, when asked about our new defensive coordinator, Rob Leonard, said he's got his own system, right? They're not going to be in base very much. Raider Ryan, what's good? Right? They're not going to be in base very much. They're going to run a lot of 4-2-5, which is kind of what we've ran over the last couple of years with Patrick Graham, right? A lot of 4-2-5. So they have the personnel, I think, to run that. Still need a safety. Still need that guy that can make plays in the backfield, right? We haven't had that in a long time. So with that being said, do the Raiders go safety in the second round? There's been a lot of hooting and hollering about this safety class being very, very deep. There's guys all over and lots of rounds, guys that you can develop, guys that can maybe come in and play right away. But how do y'all feel? Lawrence, what's good? Appreciate you pulling up. Where do you think we go with the second overall pick? Traveling across country? Nice. You remind me of a guy that wears a corn mask with his wife. You're funny, dude. You remind me of a clown that wears clown shoes. You ain't got nothing better to do, bro. Jack Gustavo, what's good? What's good, my guy? What's good? So yeah, let me know about any of these guys. Do you think any of these guys become Raiders, right? Last year at this time, I was kind of leaning towards Dante Thornton Jr., being that sleeper for the Raiders just because of Pete Carroll being the head coach and the way he fit. I also was, you know, had us taking Ashton Genty sixth overall when a lot of people said the Raiders wouldn't do that. We also had Charles Grant, a guy once they brought into a visit. I said, that's a guy they're going to sign. That just fits what I thought they were trying to do last year, right? I think he fits what Spytek wants to do with the offensive line. We heard Spytek when he was asked the question about the offensive line. He said, "You don't get starting tackles, starting guards, starting centers very often in the NFL. You sure the hell don't get left tackles and right tackles, right? You have to D Menace, what's good, man? Good to see you. Right? You have to draft these guys, develop them, and then when their fourth or fifth year option is up, right? You have to pay those guys if you develop them right. And I think that was something that a lot of people need to really listen to, right? Really, really pay attention to what he said. Development, develop. So there's a lot of people that are saying we still need offensive line. And I've been on that train saying, wait, we don't know what we have, right? We don't know what we have. So I love the fact that Spytech is letting everybody know what our plans are, right? Developing guys. You bring in guys. We're not going out and getting, a bunch of big names free agencies. Linderbaum was a different story. He was the best center on the market. We just happened to have the money. We needed a center, right? Everything just worked out perfect in that situation. So I don't see him going out and, going crazy on the offensive line. I don't see him going crazy on the offensive line in this draft either. I wouldn't be surprised if they bring in, like they said, an athletic tackle, a right tackle that compete for the right side, because I think Charles Grant is kind of being developed for the left side. That's where we seen him play last year, right, on the left side of the ball. And Charles Grant played well. When he got out there, he held his own. He showed flashes of being able to bully guys, push guys around, move the defensive line, right? And I think that's huge for us. I think that's huge. So just like, the defensive line, just like the corners, we have a lot of players like Kubiak and Spytek have both said that we need to see what we have, right? We need to see what we have in the last couple drafts. A lot of those guys didn't get to play last year. This year, you got to earn that spot, right? You're going to have to earn it, but with the rotation, if you watch Seattle and the way they rotated guys on defense, I think a lot of these defensive guys are are going to get their shot. Tonka Hemingway, J.J. Pegues, Jonah Laulu, right? All these guys. And then even some other guys that, Antonio Maffi, was it, not Antonio Maffi, damn it, hold on. Why can't I think of his name? Travian Maye. I think that's what it is. Let me look up Raiders roster. But yeah, this is a guy that last year, if y'all follow this channel, it was the guy that I said I believe the Raiders were going to take a chance on. He just fit what it means to be a Raider, right? He's a physical defensive line guy. You can move him around. He played the edge in college, right? Played the four tech, played a three tech. I think he moves around. He's physical, he's big, but he was just raw and, needed a little time in the NFL. And I think he got that on the practice squad. There's a reason that they signed him to, I do believe, sign him to a future contract, right? So they plan on keeping this guy. Jafari Harvey is another edge guy that's kind of like that, Twitty Payne, just big, physical, not the fastest guy, not the fastest get off, but he has decent bend for his size, right? He's strong, he can beat guys. But another guy that was young, that needed development. So I think a lot of people forget about the guys that are on the roster and the guys that have been on the practice squad that didn't get much burn, right? And we all know the coaching staff had their favorites last year. Every coaching staff does. But last year it was just to an extreme, right? Last year it was nasty. Trevin May, I don't know how to say his last name, but this is a dude you need to watch for. I'm telling you, this is a guy that if he gets brought up, if he gets his chance to play, he's gonna turn some heads, man. The guy is big, he's strong, he's physical, and that's what we need. I think he's a smart player. Um, yeah, we got all kinds of guys on this roster, man. All kinds of guys that we didn't get to see, like JJ Pegues, Broderick Martin, right? Broderick Martin is another guy that I think he got hurt last year, right? Didn't we have him? We brought him in to play that left, to play that left side, and I believe he got hurt. Jamin Davis, right, is another guy that they kept around, right? Jamin Davis had his flashes when he was out there, right? He made a couple plays. He showed that, he could be out there. Another guy that I want to see is Brendan Jackson, right? That we brought over from the Rams. Brendan Jackson. He was a guy that was, starting to make noise in practice, and then I believe he got hurt, so he never really got his time out there, right? Another guy that, I mean, this defense is stacked. We have not been this stacked in a long, long time. Let's talk about it right now. Defensive end. They have Tyree listed as a starter, Tonka Hemingway behind him, which that's crazy. Nose tackle. They have Adam Butler listed, JJ Pegues behind him, Broderick Martin behind him. Right? That's going to be a battle in camp, man. I'm telling you, these guys are going to go at it. And there's been some reports. The little birdie in my ear has said, you know, there may be some guys, which we've talked about this already before, on this roster that don't fit what Kubiak is trying to do, does not fit what Robbie Leonard is trying to do. So on offense and defense, there are some players that might be traded, not just cut, not let go, right? Trying to get something for them, trying to get a future draft pick or some later round draft picks, trying to get more picks. We know Spytek loves his picks, and there's a couple of guys that already don't fit what the Raiders are trying to do. We're not going to put nobody under the bus. Y'all can kind of guess who those are. One of them I've talked about on the offense, and people hate me saying it, so I'm not going to mention his name no more, but just go back and watch the videos. So Adam Butler, JJ Pegues, man, I like that. Broderick Martin, I think that's nice. Then you got at defensive tackle, Jonah Laulu, Thomas Booker, and Trevin Mae, right? Which is a guy that, like I said, with a year under his belt, man, there's a reason they kept this guy as a UDFA. They put him on the practice squad. Yes, nobody's picked him up yet, and maybe I should stop talking about him because it seems like when you talk about guys, they just disappear, like Cam Miller, Brady's guy, right? I talked about all year how he was on the practice squad, emulating every other team's quarterback, and the dude got snatched up to Miami. So maybe I have to revise how I talk about these players. We got Trevor Mae is going to be a dog, man. And then newcomer outside linebacker Twitty Payne, right? Is he going to play that outside linebacker? Is he going to be on the edge? Charles Snowden is behind him. And then Brendan Jackson behind him, right? We just talked about it, a guy that was hurt. The wheel linebacker is Quay Walker. Then behind him is Tommy Eichenberg. And then Sagan Alobi, another guy that is definitely going to help on special teams. But there's going to be times where this man is in, I believe, making plays, contributing for this defense. Right? Is a guy that, can rush the passer. You can drop back in coverage. Has some interceptions, some tip balls, right? Pass deflected. It's looking nice, man. It's looking nice. And then the middle linebacker, you got Nakobe Dean behind him, the guy that's been putting in the work this offseason. Go check out his Instagram. Cody Lindenberg, been out there grinding, man, putting in the cut. trying to make this team. They got him second behind Quay Walker, right? Quay Walker's a third down guy, but there's going to be times, where guys get tired. And then behind him is Jamin Davis. So I don't know if Jamin Davis is ahead or behind Cody Lindenberg. We'll see when camp starts. But um, one guy, I'll talk about that here in a minute. And then the right outside linebacker position, you have Malcolm Kuntz back. And behind him, or you have Max Crosby. Malcolm Kuntz is listed on that side, which I don't know if they're trying to move Malcolm Kuntz, to the other side with Quiddy Payne being in there. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. And then of course Jafari Harvey, who we just talked about, a guy that hopefully stays on this practice squad. Maybe they bring him up in camp. Maybe he's a guy that turns heads and makes some noise, right? But a UDFA that I think has the talent to make a roster somewhere. Physical strengths definitely stand out. Eric Stokes on the left corner spot. Behind him is a guy that, man, I really hope we get to see. DeCamarion Richardson. We have not seen much of DCam, right? Devin White's nephew. We all thought with Devin White coming in, being that linebacker, being that starting role, at least I did, that a guy like DeCamarion Richardson was going to come in, was going to make some noise, and was going to get playtime. Well, he got moved to the special teams and played the whole entire year over there, but he never did nothing. He never stood out. He never popped on special teams. And maybe, just maybe, that's could be some of the guys that don't fit on defense, right? A third round pick going into his third year. I mean, you got to play more than DeCamarion Richardson has played if you're a third overall pick in the NFL, right? In my opinion, you got to be on the grass. You got to be contributing. And a lot of it can be, associated with the coaching staff. I mean, we know Pete Carroll was running the defense. Patrick Graham was playing DeCamarion Richardson the year before, when there was injuries to Jacorian Bennett. So I love to see what happens with the DeCamarion Richardson. I hope this guy actually gets some damn burn. There's nobody behind him, so if anything happens to Stokes, hopefully DCam's next man up. It looks like, and then strong safety right now is Jeremy Chin. And that's it. That's it. So the safety position is kind of weak, but I've talked about this before. I really feel like Jeremy Chin is going to be more of that, probably the fourth linebacker, one of those four linebackers, right? When we're in a base, because why would you not have him out there? The guy's a thumper. He can get downhill. He makes plays. He turns the ball over. And it would just make sense to have him play in that position. But now we have linebackers that, have that speed, that can play that position as well. So a lot of options for this Robbie Leonard defense. I feel like, whether they're in a base, whether in their nickel, in the 4-2-5, there's guys, right? There's actually guys. There's depth. Except for the safety position. We'll get to that. And then free safety, we got Isaiah Palamau. Again, a guy that I think is more of a strong safety. And then Tristan McCollum. There's a reason they brought him back. I didn't really see much out of him when he was on the grass. But I didn't really see him getting cooked either, right? So that's a big thing. If you're not on the highlight reel, on the bad part or the good side, I mean, and he's still out there, at least he's doing his job. You see him on film. He covers pretty damn well. So we'll see what they do with Tristan McCollum. And then that right corner spot, I hope, is Darian Porter's. But a guy that surprised the hell out of me last year is I don't even know how to say his name. Iyusum Chigazi, right? That I believe we got from Arizona. This dude was physical. He was one of those guys that actually he was the guy. I don't know what game it was, but on the sideline, hit a guy out of bounds and the whole team was over there, and I was bitching all year long. I can't believe, that our defense, nobody came over there to help this guy when there was like six guys um, over there, and the dude was scrapping, fighting, pushing his way out. So, physical tackler. I really like this kid. I hope he, can make some noise for the Raiders. And then at nickel, Terrion Johnson that we brought in from Buffalo, I think is going to make a huge, huge difference to this defense. And I really believe he's going to make a bigger difference in helping Greedy Vance. Greedy Vance played well for us, you know, very young, raw UDFA, out of UCLA, I think, or USC. Where did he come from? I think from USC. But Greedy Vance, man, is a Raider to me. Is a Raider. He's physical, you know, physical at the point of attack. Showed good coverage, I thought, when he was out there, and a guy that I think, could take that next step. And if he takes that next step, I believe we have a pretty solid defense. And that's not even to mention how many safeties are in this draft. Vikings, Carson Beck. We'll get to that in a minute. All right, let me get through all these comments. I'll catch back up. Happy Tuesday. Appreciate you. Free agent, my indication on how the draft goes. We are going to hit it out of the park. I'm liking all the moves they made so far. Me too, man. Me too, D Menace. I think this Raiders is hit. Furpo. Raiders! Damn, I haven't done that in a minute. It's been a long time since I yelled Raiders. I feel like way too long. Shout out for the $2 holla. I appreciate you. Appreciate you for the love with the Raiders. We can do this all day. I love screaming Raiders. Nutty Nate was good, my guy. Appreciate you in the building. Have fun traveling. All right, let's get through these. Malcolm Kuntz will be outside linebacker. Yeah, but that scares me, right? That scares me. If you have to put him in coverage, I would much rather Quay Walker out there. I mean, hell, I'd rather Cody Lindenberg or Tommy Eichenberg out there covering those guys than Malcolm Kuntz. Great bend. Great, great at getting to the quarterback, coming off the ACL injury. A year off the injury. Started to pick it up towards the end of the season, I thought, for Malcolm Kuntz a little bit, which is why they brought him back. He was drafted a Raider. Spytech wants to keep those guys in-house. So I hope big things for Malcolm Kuntz, man. I've been saying this for 3 years. Malcolm Kuntz is going to have a breakout year. Malcolm Kuntz is going to have a breakout year. He finally got 8 sacks towards the end of a season. And I thought the next year was going to, I'm sure like all of us, thought the next year was just going to be, out of the park. 10, 12 sacks I was hoping for. The man gets injured. And then last year, was a recovery year. So I think Malcolm Kuntz wants to be a Raider. He loves this organization. He knows what he's got to do for the money he got last year and the money he got this year. And I think that's going to be a huge motivator for Malcolm Kuntz. Yes, all is well. Just took a road trip. Nice. Shout out for the $5 smackaroo. Devaney Tees, appreciate you in the building. Raider Paul, what's good, my guy? Raiders. Oh shit, go back. So yeah, man, that's a solid defense. I mean, if we're just looking at our number twos, right? Our number twos, Tonka Hemingway, JJ Pegues, Thomas Booker, Charles Snowden, Tommy Eichenberg, Cody Lindenberg, Malcolm Kuntz, Dekamarion Richardson, Tristan McCollum, and Useem Chigazi and Vinny Grants. I mean, I'm not mad at that, right? I think any one of those dudes can play. And then, like, you got third, you still got Broderick Martin, Travion May, Brennan Jackson, Segun Olabi, Jamin Davis, and Jafari Harvey. I mean, these are pretty solid names, bro. these are pretty not names, solid, solid players that I believe are going to help this team big time. And then offensive wise, and then we'll get into the quarterback talk. Offensive wise, you got Jack Besh, Trey Tucker, Jalen Naylor. I believe all of that's going to change after the draft. Um, Colton Miller coming back. They have Spencer Bradford listed as the left guard. They have, of course, Lindenbaum as center. JPJ as right guard. I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't think that's the way it's gonna happen. I believe that right guard, if it's not Meredith, it's it's Caleb Rogers. But Caleb Rogers is gonna have to take a huge, huge step to beat out Jordan Meredith. Jordan Meredith played very, very solid as a right guard. Now, with the guys that were around him last year, the system he was in, the coaching, it wasn't the same. But y'all know how I feel about Jordan Meredith. I think he's a damn good guard. You don't grade out a whole entire season on a bad team like the Raiders at an 80%, run and passing if you're not a starting guard in the NFL. So I think Meredith is that guy. There's going to be a battle between Jordan Meredith, I believe, and Caleb Rogers. And I think Jackson Powers Johnson on the left side is going to have a battle. Now they have, um, so left side they have Spencer Bradford and Jordan Meredith and Antonio Mafi. Damn, and Curtis McClendon. Forgot about my Curtis McClendon. I mean, the Raiders have some offensive linemen, bro. It would be crazy for us to go out and draft guys, you know, they might knock these guys, totally off the team, which is fine with me, right? But how many offensive linemen do they really go and draft? We have, I mean, damn, we have four left guards, we have three right guards, four right guards. So we have three left guards, four right guards. That's eight guards already on the roster, and people are like, draft a guard first overall, or move up to get one in the first round. I don't know if they do that. Listening to Spytek, listening to Kubiak, they both said they like their offensive line. They like what they have in the building. They think they have a group that compete. Clint Kubiak said he was very happy with DJ Glaze, his athleticism, the way he plays, right? And some of us have believed that this whole time. Some of us haven't. It is what it is. And then right tackle, you got DJ Glaze, Dalton Wagner, and Josiah Miles from San Francisco, which I did not even know he was on the team, to be honest with you. I didn't know Josiah Miles was on the team. But we do have another right tackle, which, man, that makes that battle even better. But don't sleep on Dalton Wagner either, right? Don't sleep on Dalton Wagner either. He was a guy that was pretty dominant in the SEC for the Arkansas Razorbacks. In the run game, he was a mauler. Passing game, he was, okay, needed, better footwork. But he has the size, bro. He's 6'8". He's got a almost an 80-inch wingspan, right? This dude is an absolute beast. And if Dalton Wagner can put it together after 3 years of being on the practice squad, you might have something there as well. I mean, you might have something there as well. Not banking on anything, but that's what it is. Tight end, we have Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer, and Carter Runyon. I think Carter Runyon is one of those guys that, if you look at his combine, his RAS scores were off the charts, bro. Relative athleticism score, right? They were, I think, he was in the top 10 percentile, I do believe, for tight ends in the NFL, like completely. So Carter Running is a dude that is very athletic. He showed he could block last year. He showed he can make catches, you know, when they threw the ball to him, which wasn't very often, but he got a little bit of burn and he was pretty damn good out there. What we got? Cleo Mack, outside linebacker. He's not too much quicker than Malcolm Kuntz. Yeah, he played outside linebacker, but most of the time he was blitzing, though. It wasn't many times he was in coverage. I mean, they put him in coverage. It didn't help us much, but, I'm not saying he can't. Brendan Rice and Cedric Jackson. Yes, we'll get into those as well. Shout out for the $2 holler. Raiders, how you feeling about our coaches so far? I like the coaching staff, man. I like the fact that all these guys were out at Red Rock, right, hanging out together. Putting in that time, trying to build a bond, trying to build a chemistry, right? Out there joking, hiking, enjoying the beautiful desert in Las Vegas. Because there are some beautiful places in Las Vegas, right? Mount Charleston, Red Rock Canyon, the rocks and the hiking out there is absolutely amazing. But I like this coaching staff. I think Kubiak knew exactly what he wanted. A lot of people are worried that, the little amount of time he had to build this coaching staff, but he knew who he wanted, right? We hired guys pretty quick. It was pretty much once he was in the building, it was like, every other day the Raiders were bringing somebody in. So he knew who he wanted. He got who he wanted. He talked about it, in the interview when they asked, what has he learned so far being a head coach? And, his answer was the guys around you. I've learned that you need guys around you. You need great guys around you. And he feels like he brought those great guys around him. And I feel the same way. Let me know in the comments. How do you feel? Thumbs up? Do you feel like this coaching staff is better or the best it's been in a long time? Let me know. Thumbs up, thumbs down. How you feel about this coaching staff? Um, what else we got? What was I going to? All right, we talked about that. Brock Bowers. The only quarterback we have on the roster is the cerebral assassin, Aiden O'Connell. Let's talk about that. Before we get in, then we'll start talking about the quarterbacks, and then we'll break down the rest of the roster, and then I'll get the hell off, get out of y'all's hair. 42 minutes. Trying to make these lives a little shorter. Maybe people will watch them when I'm done when they can't pull up. I don't know. But it's worth a try. Um, what was I gonna talk about? Oh yeah. So a lot of people already going crazy on X, already making shorts, making posts, right? The Raiders said they're getting a quarterback. In the next 2 weeks, the Raiders are bringing in a backup. Calm down, man. Pump the brakes. You got to listen to everything the man said. He didn't say anything about a quarterback. He didn't say anything about a backup quarterback. What he said was it would be nice to have a mature guy in the building that could show Mendoza the ropes. A mature guy. Didn't say a backup quarterback. Didn't say, a $12 million backup. He said he would like to have a guy that can play and not force Fernando Mendoza, if that's the pick, right? Not for no force Fernando Mendoza to have to go out there when he's not ready. He would like to have a guy like that in the building. I think he already got one in the building. I mean, let's be honest, bro. You can say what you want about Aiden O'Connell, but it would be stupid to bring in a veteran quarterback to be that third string guy. And I know damn well if he's already given Fernando Mendoza and Brian Greasy the playbook, which we'll get into that as well, Aiden O'Connell's got that playbook. And by the time camp starts, he's already going to have that shit down. I mean, that's just the dude he is. He's showed it every single year. Other quarterbacks, Gardner Minshew even said, man, I go to Aiden O'Connell, right? Picking up a playbook is not a problem. So we got one quarterback in the building. Will they bring in another one? It's very well possible, right? They can bring in another guy. He said he wants a guy that he's not going to put the pressure on to come in and mentor a quarterback. That's the coach's job. Damn, I don't know where I've heard that before. Right? It's not a quarterback's job. He's got a playbook. He's got a game plan. He's got a week before. Quarterbacks don't have time unless it's the offseason to try to help other quarterbacks, right? The backup's job is to help your starting quarterback during the season with all the shit that he can't get to because of all the shit that he's got to worry about preparing for the next team. So quarterbacks don't have the time to mentor guys. Brady doesn't have the time to mentor this guy unless it's over the telephone or in a Zoom call. And, I love the fact that Kubiak let everybody know. It's not a quarterback's job to mentor a quarterback, right? It's our job as a coaching staff to make sure this guy is prepared and ready to play if he has to play. So, with that being said, will the Raiders go out and get a quarterback? I believe yes. I believe yes. They'll bring in somebody. I don't think they're going to go get some, crazy, outrageous guy because, for one, you have two quarterbacks on your roster. You have a three emergency if you need that. And then you got to have a practice squad guy, right? You don't want your backup quarterback out there being the practice guy on the practice squad, and something happened to him, and then damn, then you're stuck on a team with no money, having to come up with a plan to go get a quarterback. So I believe the quarterback drafted, the pick is going to be Mendoza. There's no doubt about it. I made a shirt months ago. It's Mendoza. The writing's been on the wall. If you don't think it's Mendoza, then you're living under a rock. If you have questions about the first overall pick, we'll get into that in a second, which a lot of people do. That's fine. That's fine. But this dude is going to be the pick unless somebody goes crazy and, it's springtime. People go nuts during springtime at spring break party. Somebody might go crazy, be unleashed, and try to throw 3 or 4 first round picks for Mendoza if they believe he's the guy. If they do try to throw at least 3 first round picks, then there's some teams that feel like he's the future, kind of like a lot of Raider fans feel like he's the future, right? Um, quarterbacks, man. Ty Simpson, Fernando Mendoza. Um, Brady doesn't care about winning as an owner. It's just a silent investment. We'll talk about that too, I guess. Wouldn't be surprised if they draft 2 quarterbacks. Exactly. I wouldn't be surprised if they draft a guy. Um, you know, if one of those quarterback is like a Nussmeyer or like a Drew Allar that fall to the fifth, sixth, seventh round maybe, which I don't see any of those guys falling. I think all of those guys are taken by the fourth round. It would be crazy for teams in need of a backup or a possible starter to not take a chance on any of those quarterbacks. That's a show for another time. I think this quarterback class is a little bit slept on. I really do. Um, but let's get into the main event, right? Fernando Mendoza, Ty Simpson. Who is better? Is Ty Simpson the number one overall pick? Let's just start with here. No, no, no. My evaluation on Ty Simpson, which I did on this channel 2.5 months ago, I said he's a first round pick. He's a first round pick because the development, the upside, when you take guys like, if you move up and you look at the history of guys taken in the first round, Kenny Pickett, come on, man. Go back and watch the tape of Kenny Pickett in college and watch Ty Simpson. Ty Simpson makes the throws. He's in an NFL type offense, right? He has an former NFL offensive coordinator. He's taken way more snaps under center. That's a big thing in the NFL. It's not something that you learn, but the Raiders are taking those steps, right? But my evaluation of Ty Simpson is yes, he's a first round talent. I do believe he's a first round talent. He's a coach's son. He makes all the throws. He has a crazy strong arm, right? All those things. He can move the pocket. He throws one of the best quarterbacks I've seen thrown on the run in a long, long time. A long time. When he's throwing, whether it's left, whether it's rolling out left or right, he gets his body completely turned around. He turns his hips. He's squared up, and he rifles the football. I mean, the dude's got a cannon. Now, is he a first overall pick over Mendoza? No. Is he better than Mendoza? You can make a case. You could make a case. And I know I'm probably going to get blown up like, Dan Orlowski did, but it is what it is. This is my opinion. You don't have to agree with it. You could make a case that Ty Simpson could be the better quarterback down the road. Down the road. But right now, at this moment, is he the better quarterback? I don't feel he is. I don't feel he is. I'm going to tell you why. Ty Simpson, My biggest knock on him is when he's got guys wide open. I mean, wide open. Jeremy Bernard is probably pulling out his hair after every single game, going, "Man, how could you not hit me?" Right? People talk about his accuracy. I think his accuracy past 20 yards, it's not there. It's not there. It is very spotty, very spotty. I think he needs to learn to put touch on the ball, right? I think when you have those guys wide open, which Mendoza does very well, you got to be able to put touch. You can't throw every ball like a fastball, and I think that hurts Ty Simpson. The second thing is, I don't really care too much about the height. He's got 9 3/4 inch hands for 6'1". That's big ass hands, right? You can hold the football, you can grip the football. He did have 6 fumbles last year. That to me is a big problem. That's a big problem. That was my biggest knock on Geno Smith coming in last year, was the fact that he can't hold on to the damn football, right? When you're trying to make plays, when you're trying to move around, when you're trying to be that superhero, you gotta hold on to the football. Fernando Mendoza, he got that shit like it's his baby running through a fire trying to save his life, right? He protects the football. Now he's had, a couple balls that came out. They didn't go to the other team. He's got a damn good team around him. But Mendoza protects the football. That's one of his greatest strengths, is whether it's in the passing game, whether it's in the running game, that football is like a little child to him. Like, he is not letting that shit go. And I think that's a bigger upside from Mendoza than Ty Simpson. But Ty Simpson, man, his footwork, the fact that he can turn his back to the defense, right, in a RPO system, out of from behind center, can turn to his back to his defense, and sometimes find the open man. But I think that is his biggest problem, right? If he's in the pocket and he's just dropping back and he's got the whole field like Fernando Mendoza has had all year long, because he doesn't turn his back, right? He doesn't take snaps out of center, from under center. Everything is in the gun. So when I'm looking at Ty Simpson, man, the mechanics are there, the intelligence is there. He's just not ready, bro. He's not ready. Yes, you sat for 2 years and you watched, good quarterbacks play at Alabama. I don't think Alabama was the greatest fit for him, right? I just don't think the coach, I don't, but the fact that he didn't transfer and he stayed there, it says something about the young man's character. So, does he have the traits to be a first round pick? I believe so. But the one thing, and everybody says, oh, he played whatever half the season, he was great. Yes. If you look at the drop passes, they had 30 drop balls at Alabama, 6 of them in a playoff game. Mendoza had 6 drop balls all year from his receivers. And now people will say his accuracy between Ty Simpson and Fernando Mendoza is a big difference. Now, I seen the ball sail from Ty Simpson. I didn't see it sail a lot from Mendoza. You got to work on that. You got to work on touch. But accuracy wise, the receivers for Indiana, Becker, Williams, Surratt, Omar Cooper, even the tight end, right? And the running backs. They all made tremendous plays. Not every one of those ball placement were great. And I hear quarterbacks, and I've never played quarterback. I played running back, played safety, played linebacker. Never played quarterback unless it was in the streets. I played a whole lot of quarterback in the streets. Um, but I hear, guys that have played quarterback say that, he's throwing the ball where only his receiver can catch it. But if you're throwing the ball where your receiver got to fall down on his ass and catch the ball from hitting the ground, that's not accuracy or throwing the ball, where. So I see that with Mendoza. I think a lot of his accuracy, and a lot of people, putting him on this pedestal, he had great receivers. Ty Simpson did not, right? He had Jeremy Williams. What the hell is his name? Is it Jeremy Williams? The kid that came over from Ohio State, right? Had a great year when he was in Ohio State. He transfers over thinking he's going to be that guy, and he was not. He was he had a bad year. Let's just say that. He had a very bad year. Many drops, did not make his quarterback look good. They had no running game, right? They had, I think they averaged less than 100 yards. I want to say 78 yards a game. Um, when you have to have Jeremy Bernard, your wide receiver, your number one wide receiver, line up in the backfield, play after play after play after play after play because you can't get a run game going, that says a lot to me, right? That says a lot to me about Ty Simpson's character. So I believe Ty Simpson is a first round pick to make everything, short. Would I take him this year in the first round? No, I wouldn't. I would not take him in the first round. I would take him in the second. Somebody's going to take him in the first round because of his upside. A team that has a quarterback that might be on the verge of, being out like the Rams, right? Somebody's going to take a shot on him. And, I wouldn't be mad if they did because, like I said, I believe the kid has first round talent. But I don't think that first round talent um, is molded yet, right? I don't think it's all there. I believe just coming back another year for Alabama or transferring to Miami when they offered him all this money, a team that was in a national championship, be Mendoza. And I respect him for that, right? He could have been Mendoza and said, all right, I'm leaving this shitty ass Cal Berkeley team and I'm going to Indiana that only lost 2 games the year before with Curtis Rourke. And I'm going to go over there and play my senior year so I could get drafted to the NFL, right? Ty Simpson could have did that. He said, nah, I'm not going to another school. I'm gonna go to the NFL, and he joined. He entered the draft. So shout out to him. If you take him in the second round, you get a steal, right? If he makes it to the second round and Ty Simpson is there, somebody's gonna be very, very happy. He's gonna be a starter within 2 years. That's not a question whatsoever, right? The guy can move. He's athletic as hell. He's strong. They bitch about his size, 6'1". There's plenty of quarterbacks that make it at that size. His weight, 211, man. 211 is a big, big reason why I wouldn't take Ty Simpson in the first round, right? In the first round, you're going to be expected to play. If your quarterback is playing like ass, they're going to be beating down the door. Ty Simpson, Ty Simpson. At 208 or 211 or whatever he weighed, I think it was 211 at his pro day. Yes, he had gastritis. Yes, he had a busted rib. Yes, he lost a lot of weight. You got to get that weight back, and it's going to take probably a good off season and half the season to put on those pounds, man. Unless if you're eating healthy and working out, it takes time to gain weight, right? It's not something you can just go eat a bunch of junk food and get a gut like me. That shit takes time. So I don't believe Ty Simpson is the first overall pick in this draft. I don't believe he's a first round pick in this draft. If somebody takes him, that's fine. They're taking that chance. There's teams like Pittsburgh that, need that quarterback. There's a lot of teams like the Cardinals that need a quarterback, right? That might move up back into the draft to get him. And if you take him, right, I think he has a great future. But he's not Mendoza. He's not Mendoza. Is he more athletic? Yes. Does he have a stronger arm? Yes. Does he have more upside than Mendoza? I feel yes. If you go back and look at Mendoza, this is how I evaluate it. Harold, what's good? Appreciate you. Raider 510. I'll get to your questions in a minute. But this is kind of how I evaluate it, right? I looked at the tapes this year. When Alabama was playing good, when he was healthy, when they had kind of a running game, but never really had a running game. A lot of people say Alabama had the best offensive line in football. I don't know what y'all was seeing, but I didn't see this man having all day to throw like a Matthew Stafford in the NFL type shit, right? I think he carried his team a lot. I think he carried his team way more than Mendoza. I do believe that. So, with that being said, I think his upside could be better than Mendoza's. I'm gonna say that. I think he's more athletic. He's definitely, if you're talking about an NFL system, he's more prepared that way. He's taken more snaps under center. But I think his biggest weakness was turning his back to the defense and having to locate open receivers. And that's why his ball sailed. That's what I've seen from Ty Simpson. Now, Mendoza wise. Mendoza wise, man, I still just don't believe he's worth a first overall pick. But the Raiders and the situation they're in, how long it's been they've needed a quarterback, having the first overall pick, losing games to try to get that first overall pick, having a guy like Brady in the building, Kubiak in the building, John Spytek, right? The people that we have in the building, I believe screams Mendoza. You cannot pass on this. You cannot. Don't overthink it. Don't make, listening to all the people talk about, Ty Simpson could be better. Yes. Yes, he very well could be better. And like I said, my evaluation was I looked at last year what Mendoza did in Cal, right? His junior year. Because he was a junior last year. What did he do his junior year compared to Ty Simpson's junior year? And what? I mean, this is projecting, yes, projecting. What could Ty Simpson be with one more year in college football? Because as a junior, a redshirt junior, right, that didn't have a whole lot of snaps, if any. I think he had a couple games here and there, but didn't have any starts, right, in college football for Alabama. Comes in his junior year as a redshirt junior and plays pretty damn solid until shit just started to fall apart for the team. He wasn't healthy, so if I'm comparing that to Mendoza, I think he's ahead of Mendoza. I really do. Now, Mendoza wise, I hear all this shit about Mendoza is the most intelligent, quarterback to ever come out of the draft, right? He's the brightest guy. He's that Andrew Luck. He's Joe Burrow. All this wrapped up into one. I think we're overthinking some of this, man. Watching Mendoza, and damn it, I had the link I was gonna post to y'all, but I know not everybody can watch film, right? Because not everybody pays for it. But if you go to YouTube and you type in Fernando Mendoza, every snap and run, it's the whole entire season from start to finish on YouTube. You don't have to pay for it. Just click on it. It's 2 hours and 14 minutes of every Mendoza play ever this season. Those first two games. Golly, man. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't watch those first two games. When I watched the tape, that was the first time I seen those first two games against Kent State and Old Dominion. He did not look like a first round pick, Mendoza, in those two games. He did not. His accuracy was bad. He looked like a deer in the headlights in the pocket. It was bad, bro. It was bad. I was like, damn. But then the third game, he looked like a different quarterback. The fourth game, he looked like a different quarterback. What I'm saying is Mendoza coming out of Cal was not a first round pick. I'd be surprised if he was a second round pick. I'm not gonna lie. Maybe a third round pick. But the way he learned the system, got better in the system, got comfortable with his receivers, got comfortable with those back shoulder throws, which they killed teams over and over and over and over again throughout the season. And he just got better as they went. The timing got better. The release got faster. The instincts got better, right? Now, is Mendoza going to come out and start day one? I don't see it. Looking at what I said from Cal to his first couple games in the Indiana system, it took him a while. It took him a while to comprehend an easy one or two read system. And I'm not making this up, one or two read. Kurt Cignetti himself said, this is a 2-read system. 1-2 reads. That's it. That's what they want him to do. Now, is it hurting the quarterbacks coming out of college into the NFL? I believe so. And I thought college football was to groom these guys and prepare them for the next level. Not just about winning as a head coach, but that's a story for another time. But Mendoza, he got better every single game. His instincts got better. His timing got better. But when the pocket collapsed, when there was pressure in his face, he still looked like he panics. He still takes his eyes off of downfield. When he runs, he puts his head down. Now maybe he could see with his eyes looking forward because we can't see it. But when your head's down like this, I don't see how he runs like he does and sees anything. So Mendoza is a first round pick. He is. The intelligence, whether it's on or off the field, right? It doesn't always have to be football knowledge for intelligence, because intelligence means you can pick up a playbook, means you can pick up, you could remember shit, right? That's the main thing of being able to remember these damn plays. Remember the verbiage, being able to teach other people the verbiage, right? That's a big part of playing quarterback in this league. So I think Mendoza has all that, man. Now, the footwork, the fact that he hasn't and needs to learn how to play under center, right? 56% Seattle and Kubiak last year of their plays were under center, 56%. Mendoza in his college career, 3%. 3. That's a big difference. Now, there's a reason why they have Brian Greasy. We'll get into that in a minute. But as far as Ty Simpson being better than Mendoza, I believe he could possibly in the next 3 or 4 years, if he gets in the right system, in the right team, in the right fit, and the right coach that knows how to use him, just because of, already being a little bit more ahead. I think he's more NFL ready, than a lot of quarterbacks coming out with his 15 starts. I mean, if you look at the guys, Mitch Trubisky, who else? Anyways, Zach Wilson, right? You look at all these guys that were drafted in the first round with 15 starts. They never made it in the NFL. The only one that did, went to Carolina, has a talk show. We all know Cam, right? Cam was just different. It was just totally different. So, as far as I'm concerned, Mendoza and Ty Simpson. Is Ty Simpson a better quarterback than Mendoza? I believe he's a better athlete. I believe he probably can be just as good, if not better, than Mendoza. And I think he's going to be ahead when he gets to the NFL because he's already ran an NFL offensive system. So he has that. Now, Mendoza-wise, he's got some things to work on, like taking snaps from under center. But that's not even the main thing. Footwork. Man, his footwork sometimes, his base is not as wide as it could be, right? I see him throw off of, feet together this much, right? If you have a wider base and you're using your hips, right, you're going to throw the ball farther. You're going to have a stronger arm. So he's got to work on that. He's got to work on taking snaps under center. You have to be able to go through your progressions. That's all going to come with time. I hear a lot of talk about, you don't draft a guy if he has ifs, right? Name me one quarterback in the history of the NFL that was drafted first overall that didn't have an if. I'm not going to wait because I'll be here till the end of time. Everybody ever drafted in NFL had a question about something. There has never been a player taken at any position anywhere, whether it's offensive line, they talk about his arm length, they talk about his footwork. If it's linebacker, right, it's his weight, it's his height, it's his, can he cover? Running back, it's about his vision, it's about his speed, his breakaway speed, his contact balance, right? There's never going to be a perfect player. There's never been a perfect player. The Raiders have a chance to draft a quarterback first overall that has a chance. I'm not projecting he's going to be the greatest quarterback to ever live, but has a chance to be the best quarterback that we've ever drafted if they take time and they show patience. Patience, Danielson, patience, right? You can't throw this guy to the fire if he's not ready. And I don't believe he's ready. However, the Raiders are in a tough predicament. You're sitting at first overall. with the guy that everybody's talking about in Ty Simpson, right? And there's another quarterback that I'm gonna get to here in a minute. Um, right? Who's gonna trade up for Mendoza unless somebody does a 30 man visit, right? And just falls in love with this guy and says, "This is the guy we've been looking for our whole entire since I've been, in existence as a GM or as a head coach." And there might be coaches out there that do that, right? There might be some coaches that look at Mendoza and be like, "We can't let this guy walk out of the building. Whatever it takes, we have to go get him." And if that's the case, that's great for the Raiders. That's huge for the Raiders, right? If they're willing to do that. However, there's going to be a learning curve. It's going to take time. And if you're telling me that my quarterback has some ifs, being drafted number one, that's fine. The Raiders know he has these ifs. This is the key thing. This is what doesn't bother me. You don't think the Raiders see that shit? They went and got Brian Greasy, the quarterback whisperer, right? A guy that's played quarterback in the NFL. A guy that's been there, done that. They brought in Brian Greasy to show Fernando Mendoza Clint Kubiak's system, which Brian Greasy already knows. Half of Clint Kubiak's system probably comes from Brian Greasy and that Shanahan tree over there, right? So they bring in Brian Greasy because they know our first overall pick has some ifs. Oh my God. Oh my God, he has some ifs. He's never played under center. It's going to take some time. Well, guess what? If you draft a guy and he doesn't figure it out in the first couple months on how to play under center, then you probably drafted the wrong guy. The only way we're going to know that is to roll the dice in Las Vegas and take a chance. And I believe the Raiders, they know this. They know his weaknesses. They know his strengths, right? They've been to games. Tom Brady has been said by many, many people, coaches, players that have played with him, that Tom Brady can evaluate a player like that. He can look at a guy and say, this is his weaknesses, this is his strengths, this is how you beat him, this is how he's going to beat you, right? And if Tom Brady is that dude, and they draft Mendoza, I don't care what any YouTuber says, I don't care what any ex-GM says, or ex, scout, or right? Ex-scout, ex-GM, ex-coach, former coach, what any of these dudes have to say about Fernando Mendoza. Because we have the GOAT in the building in Tom Brady. And if Tom Brady messes this up, it's on Tom Brady, bro. It's on Tom Brady. Is it going to set us back? Yes. Is it going to set us back, many, many years? Possibly. But maybe not, because we still got Aiden O'Connell in the building. So, do you draft Fernando Mendoza one? Yes, absolutely. Yes, I know he has questions. He doesn't take snaps under center. He doesn't go through his progressions. It's a 1 read, 2 reads. But let me ask you this. If Fernando Mendoza doesn't go through his 4 progressions, you're telling me that they actually called plays in an all-go or in a dagger situation where Elijah Surratt or Omar Cooper wasn't the first and second read, that it was Charlie Becker or Williams Jr.? Come on, man. Come on. So, the throws that he has made to Becker down the sideline, when you have Cooper in there and Elijah Surratt on the same side, right? Or you have all 3 of them on the same side, and he's picking out Williams deep downfield, or the tight end, or the running backs. Come on, man. This man does go through his progressions. Now, you can watch film and say, okay, well, his head's not moving. His head's not moving. But guess what? I can sit here right now like this and move my eyes over here and see almost completely behind me. And I'm 50 years old, man. These young kids got vision. You got eyes. So some quarterbacks just have that where they can see guys coming open. They can, they know where they're going with the football pre-snap read, or they go through the progressions, right? So not all the time are you going to have time in the pocket to go through all 4 progressions and then drop it down to the running back. Some guys are going to know, man, they're doubling this guy. Don't even look to my second read. Just go 1, 3, 4, right? Or shit, 2 and 3 are going to be covered. So I got 1 and 4 in my running back, right? As a crutch to drop down. So all I'm saying is you're never going to have a guy that doesn't have questions coming out of college. Most of the guys coming out of college now, except for a couple here and there, they don't snap the ball from under center, right? It's a different day and age. Coaches in college football, they just want to win. They don't really care about developing guys for the next level or their career, right? They're worried about their career and their time and being that guy in the limelight. So there's a lot of gun in college football, and I think it hurts a lot of these college kids coming up to the next level, knowing that a lot of teams still run a lot of snaps under center. I think RPO rate, it's like 8% in the NFL. Correct me if I'm wrong. King Alfred. Eat a dick, bro. Eat a dick. So yeah, as far as Mendoza goes, man, yes, there's going to be questions. There's going to be questions about everybody. I think he has the athleticism to do it. I think he's mobile enough. The footwork is going to take time. Taking snaps under center is going to take time. But what's going to take the most time is in an RPO. You have to turn your back to the defense. Not very long, but long enough to roll out, and then you have to find the open man. And I think for any quarterback that has never done that, that's like learning the position all over again, right? Your accuracy, your vision, your timing, your instincts, all of that has to be at 120%. And that's going to take time. And the Raiders know this, right? The Raiders know this. But I also heard Clint Kubiak say, when we first hired him, he has a system, he has a structure, and he knows how he wants his shit to work. But he also knows that sometimes you have to change things around certain guys, right? You might not have the guys you need to run what you always run, and you're going to have to, improvise, right? And if anybody can do it, it's Clint Kubiak, right? He doesn't have to run 56% of the snaps under center like he did in Seattle, right? He's not trying to be Mike McDonald. He's not trying to be Kyle Shanahan. He even said it himself. I'm going to take a little bit from all of these guys, but I'm not trying to be these guys. I'm trying to be Clint Kubiak. So I feel like if they take Mendoza, man, all those questions will be answered. They will all be answered, and they're already being answered. They are already being answered. If you don't know, well, now you will know. And I always say, watching this show, you might be a smarter Raider fan or just a football fan in general. But Brock Purdy, old Brock Purdy, right? Where was Brock Purdy drafted? Mr. Irrelevant? Mr. Irrelevant. But somebody in the 49ers system knew this man had skills to be an NFL quarterback. Who was that? I don't know. But do you know who developed him from being a 7th round pick? And wasn't he last overall? I do believe. And there's definitely some quarterbacks like this in this draft that could be the next Brock Purdy, because guys are going to sleep on these quarterbacks and let them fall to the 7th round. But there's some dogs. We'll do a quarterback show probably tomorrow. We'll talk quarterbacks. But who was the man that made Brock Purdy from Mr. Irrelevant, 17th overall, that didn't take many snaps under center, that didn't run? He ran a lot of RPO, right? He ran a lot of RPO in college. Still runs a lot of RPO now. But who was that guy that made Brock Purdy what he is right now? That guy is Brian Griese. Yes, Brian Griese. He was the one beating on the table. Draft this young man. Draft this young man. Draft this young man. He fell all the way to the end of the draft. They took a chance. How many Super Bowls has he taken them to? How many playoff games has Brock Purdy, being Mr. Irrelevant, taken the 49ers to? Now, yes, they have a damn good team. They have a damn good coaching staff. I feel like we do too. The point is, they brought in Brian Griese to teach this man the system, to teach him how to take snaps under center, to teach him how to be a quarterback in the NFL. Well, Brian Griese has ties with Clint Kubiak. We heard Clint Kubiak in his interview today talk about Brian Griese and that system over there with the Shanahans, right? You bring in a guy who, let's not forget this part, right? Because I haven't heard nobody talk about this, so it might be a little nugget for y'all. We try to drop those here and there. But Brian Griese was still, as of February, which is when Kubiak got hired, still the quarterback coach for the San Francisco 49ers. Brian Griese said, I'm going to retire. I don't want to no longer do this quarterback coaching stuff in the NFL. I want to spend time with my family. It's funny that he wants to spend time with his family when Kubiak gets the job for the Las Vegas Raiders. Man that he knows very, very well through him and his father. Now that Clint Kubiak has watched film on Fernando Mendoza, what does he do? He brings in Brian Griese. Yes, Brian Griese to coach Fernando Mendoza on how to run Clint Kubiak's system. Same thing they did with Brock Purdy. How to run Kubiak's system. Do you see where this all comes together? He left, said he didn't want to coach no more. Now he's working with Fernando Mendoza privately to make him better. They know Fernando Mendoza has weaknesses, right? They're not going into this blind like Jamarcus Russell. They're not going into this saying, okay, Jamarcus Russell is the greatest quarterback to ever live. He can run. He can throw the ball 100 yards. And Al Davis was drooling down his mouth every time he seen Jamarcus Russell. But they didn't know his character. They didn't know he didn't study. They didn't know he didn't watch film. They didn't know that he was so arrogant. He believed he was better than everybody. And he didn't have to know the playbook. He could just go out there and play street ball. They didn't do their homework. The Las Vegas Raiders are doing their homework on Fernando Mendoza. They know he doesn't take snaps under center. They know he has a problem, or maybe not have a problem, but hasn't showed on film that he can go through his progressions. They know this, which is why they take the steps to bring in a guy who's mentored many, many quarterbacks in the NFL. But the main one that sticks out to me is what he's done with Brock Purdy. If you can do that with Brock Purdy, a 7th overall pick, what can you do with a guy that's projected to be number 1 in the draft, right? So that's why I believe you take Fernando Mendoza, man. Everybody, like I said, is going to have weaknesses, and he has some. But the thing is, the coaching staff knows, the minority owner knows, and the main part, the damn quarterback knows himself. He said, I got shit to work on. I got things to learn. But what I do like, that there's not a quarterback in the NFL since Brett Favre that holds the ball like Brett Favre, except Fernando Mendoza. Brett Favre put mad spin on the ball, right? Spiral every time. Pretty damn good accuracy. And Mendoza has that. So when you have accuracy, when you have good touch, when you have good vision, you don't always have to be the fastest quarterback or the most mobile quarterback. When you're 6'5", 230 pounds, and guys bounce off of you trying to tackle you because of your height and your size, right? You don't have to be the fastest mobile guy. So the Raiders, in my opinion, are absolutely nuts if they don't draft Fernando Mendoza. He is a lock. He is the pick. You're not taking all this time to give him the playbook. I mean, it's obvious, right? but we've said this before. He's the guy, and I believe he is going to be the guy for many, many moons to come in this organization. I just hope they don't rush it, right? Don't rush it. Take your time. If he's not ready, that's fine. We don't have to be ready. Clint Kubiak said he don't plan on going nowhere. Spytek said he don't plan on Kubiak going nowhere. Mark Davis has said he plans on Kubiak being here for a minute, right? If that's the mentality in the building, and these dudes know that they don't have pressure, they don't have to force feed Fernando Mendoza to the NFL right away, this team is going to be scary. It's going to be scary. Now, so sign it all off. I believe, still, Ty Simpson can't be better than Mendoza. Eventually, in the right system and the right fit. But I don't know if he's going to have a better system or a better fit than what Fernando Mendoza is going to have with Kubiak and the Raiders. So, squash that right there. How y'all feel? What y'all thinking? Let me get back up into these chats. Grim in the building. What's good, Grim? Seahawks got a draft from the Jags. Nice. Raider Paul was good. Wouldn't be surprised if they draft 2 quarterbacks. Yes. I feel like they draft another quarterback. And I hate to say this, but, you know, if you can get one of these guys like Joey Aguilar. Yes, Joey Aguilar from Tennessee. I mean, come on, bro. The dude has plenty of upside, right? And if you could sneak a guy like that in the 6th or 7th round, he could very well develop into being your starter. I mean, there's no guarantee that Mendoza is better than all these guys coming out of college, right? We talked about his strengths, we talked about his weaknesses, and he has some weaknesses that are going to take time to translate to the NFL. There's some of these guys that are a little bit ahead in those weaknesses and might translate better to the NFL. And one of those guys is Carson Beck, dude. Carson Beck. If I'm the Jets, or if I'm the Arizona Cardinals, right? I'm looking at Ty Simpson, and I'm looking at Carson Beck. I'm looking at Carson Beck, who played for the Georgia Bulldogs, who's played in national championships, who played in the SEC, not just 1 year, you know, but multiple years, who's played those teams like Alabama, who's played those dog-ass teams, LSU over and over again, right? Carson Beck, I believe, is more ready still than all of these quarterbacks, than Fernando Mendoza, than Ty Simpson, than all of these guys. I think his upside in the NFL could be higher than both of them. I'm not going to lie. Carson Beck has an arm. Yes, you have to work on knowing how hard you got to throw the damn ball, touch a little bit, decision making. But you can't look at Carson, at least I can't. I can't look at Carson Beck and what he's done in college football, in the games he's played in, the big games he's played in, way more than Mendoza, way more than Ty Simpson, way more than all of these guys. He's been in these bigger games and played like a dog, right? So if I'm looking at Carson Beck, you can't tell me that NFL scouts aren't looking at this dude saying, man, this is an easy fix, right? We change a little bit of mechanics. We change his footwork. We get him in the film room. We get him on a little virtual headset, right? Let him play some games at a little faster speed. Carson Beck, bro, is a guy that I believe out of this draft could be the quarterback to surprise some people. I really do. I've said it before, and I still believe if he just had another 2 inches, which that's what your girl said, but if he just had another 2 inches in that national championship game on that football, it doesn't get intercepted, they walk off with a touchdown, and Carson Beck might be the number 1 pick overall over Mendoza, just from some stupid situation like that. And if you don't think that's how it works, y'all crazy. Look at Chris Brazzell. Look at Chris Brazzell, man. The dude had 1 year. I mean, one good breakout year this year. Runs a low 40 time, and he's talked about being picked in the second round when he was talked about being in the fourth, just because of his speed and size. So a draft, one big game in a national championship game, you know, can skyrocket a dude into a position that he might not be ready for, and that could be the case with Mendoza. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not coming out here and saying this dude is going to be the greatest quarterback to ever walk the face of the earth, but he does have a chance to be a top 10 quarterback in the NFL just because of he's 6'5", right? He has 9.5-inch hands, which you would like him to be a little bigger at 6'5". Ty Simpson's hands are bigger than Mendoza's by I think a half inch. And he's 4 inches shorter, 3 inches shorter. So you would like the guy to have bigger hands, but he doesn't have a problem holding on to the football. So um, I wouldn't be surprised if a team takes a chance on Carson Beck and he ends up becoming their starter very soon. Like, I think he's a guy that can be fixed. Not the most mobile guy, but can run if he has to. He's proved that he can run an offense. I think he not carried Miami because of their defense, but he did carry the offensive side of the ball. I mean, look at how many times they needed him and he come down, and he wasn't asked to throw a lot. They ran the hell out of the ball in Miami, just like they did in Indiana, right? They ran the ball nonstop. The Indiana was first with like 160 yards a game, I want to say 180 yards a game running the football. So yeah, man, if you can get an Aguilar, one of these guys, my Arkansas Razorback, bring him in, let him sit and develop for a year or two. There's some sleepers at quarterback in this draft. Tom Brady, Tom Brady. That's all Tom Brady cares about is winning. I don't think he took this team to make money. He took this team because he needs the feeling of winning, right? Being a broadcaster doesn't give you that feeling of winning. Being an owner gives you that feeling. Whether you're at the game or not, it's still a victory. So, um, hit those thumbs up. Yeah, I'd appreciate it. Taylor Green. Taylor Green's a dog, man. Taylor Green's a dog. He's not ready for the NFL as a quarterback. Now, I've said it before. If you put him in that Taysom Hill type shit, right, where he's coming in on short yardage to do the tush push and jump over people and run to the house, Taylor Green is that dude. Um, his decision making is bad. I'm a huge Taylor Green fan, but I got to be a buck, and you know, people think I'm not with my evaluations sometimes, but my evaluations have always been 100. And Taylor Green, he's got some time. He's got some work to do. He's young. He's 6'6". He runs a 4.3, he's 7. You know, if you put him in that Taylor Green type shit where he's just that that option quarterback, no matter where it is, on the goal line, in the red zone, right? Short yardage. I think he can be that until he develops. But I know damn well there's a bunch of NFL quarterback coaches and GMs and owners right now that are salivating over Taylor Green and what he could be at the next level if they can develop him. But you got to look at his time in Boise State compared to his time with Bobby Petrino. He just never really took that next step, right? Didn't have the greatest receivers, but he had speed over there. He had, Omega Blake, which is another guy that nobody's talked about. Go check out Omega Blake, man. Omega Blake is a guy that if he doesn't get drafted, I'm gonna be surprised. But I have not heard this dude's name anywhere. Explosive guy, 10-inch hands, 6'2". I don't know why anybody's not talking about my other Razorback, but as far as Taylor Green goes, man, somebody's gonna take a chance on him. He could throw the ball out of the building. He hit the damn roof, I think, in his pro day at Arkansas. I believe he had like a 70-yard pass. I think I want to say that was caught at his pro day. But Taylor Green lacks the main things it takes to be a quarterback: pre-snap read, decisiveness, right? And You can't teach that. You can't teach that. You would think being a starter 4 years, wait, 3 years, um, two at Arkansas. I don't know if he started 1 or 2 years at Boise, but anyways, a starting quarterback in college football with that much upside and that much athleticism, you have to question whether it's intelligence, whether it's want to, how hard is he working when it comes to the film, because some of the plays and some of the throws you're just like, why, why, why would you throw that? Why would you even try to throw that? So yeah, a lot of development there, man. A lot of development. But like I said, I'll be surprised if he makes it out of the fourth round, just because somebody's gonna be like, we can use him somewhere else, doing something. Stop Marcus. Hi, Dad. What's up, son? What's good? So Max Crosby is staying. For now, Max Crosby is here for now. He thinks he's locked in, for life. Um, but we'll see, man. There's still some teams calling for Max Crosby. None of them wanting to give up, what the Raiders want. And if that's the case, bro, he's gonna be a Raider for life. However, money talks and bullshit walks. So as long as if somebody comes up with what the Raiders want, Max Crosby will be gone. I believe that. I would be surprised if he makes it through the season, if he balls out. I really would. Bobby Petrino is a quarterback whisperer, developed both Lamar Jackson and Taylor Green. Sees many simulators between the two. Yes, he did. He did have Lamar Jackson for a year. He also got guys like um, fuck. I can't think of it right now. But there's two quarterbacks that are in the NFL that were backups for a long, long time that hold Arkansas records when Bobby Petrino was here. So, yeah, man, Bobby Petrino gets guys to the NFL. The thing is, you know, you just didn't see the development in the pre-snap reads, or being able to throw guys open or put touch on the football for Taylor Green. And you would think 2 years under Bobby Petrino that they would be a given that he developed, somewhat. He just didn't. Ty Simpson is small and injury prone. He won't last in the NFL. Yeah, I mean, at 6'1", I'm not really worried about the height when you have 9 3/4 inch hands. Right? That means you can hold on to the football. You can do athletic shit. He's athletic as hell. But you're right, man. At 211, yeah, you need at least another 20 pounds. I mean, my best analogy for this is Jaden Daniels, right? Jaden Daniels came in, had a great first year, but was banged up throughout the year. Come in the second year and banged up, right? Great quarterback, damn good under pressure, a freak with the ball in his hands. But when he runs, he just gets banged up because he doesn't have any padding, right? You're skin and bones, man. So, yeah, I just guys like that don't last in the NFL, bro. Go Donkeys. What's good, man? Mr. Minister. I won't say that word, but yeah, go Donkeys. Go Donkeys. Why are we deleting messages? Raiders. Alfredo, what's good, my guy? Let us start right away. We don't have a quarterback. Who are you gonna start? AOC? Yes, AOC. Rogers is 10 times better than Meredith. What are we smoking on? What am I smoking on? I'm smoking on some peach slushy. Also, we have uh, some papaya gelato, and then the other side is Acapulco Gold. So, that's what we smoking on over here today. Um, Rogers, I don't know about 10 times better. The upside is 10 times better. I'll agree with that. He's definitely bigger. Um, but he's still got some work to do, man. But he did a great job. He did a great job. I'm not gonna lie. And Meredith, Meredith did a great job too with the year before when we didn't have the Undertaker as the offensive line coach. Tom Brady would have to adjust his footwork in the Kubiak offense too. I don't think Tom Brady's adjusted anything. I think this is going to be on the coaches. Now, maybe in the summertime, he might have dude come to his house or some shit and work out in the backyard or something. But I don't see Tom Brady being hands on with nothing. He's basically the Zoom guy, right? He's that guy. If you need me, call me. If I can help, I will. Kubiak drafted Jalen Monroe, which gets me to believe he has a great deal of interest in Taylor Green. Well, it's kind of hard to say that Kubiak drafted Jalen Monroe, right? Because more times than not, your offensive coordinator doesn't really pick, who's drafted. Now, he might say, I need this guy for my system, and they might draft him. But I don't think that was the case with Jalen Milroe. I think that was more of a Mike McDonald thing. I think Mike McDonald had questions of whether Sam Darnold could be that guy. I think Kubiak had questions. I think the ownership had questions. The GM definitely had questions. And taking Milroe where they took him, it's risky. That was risky. But man, he has all the athletic abilities in the world, and he's still not as athletic as Taylor Green. So Taylor Green's got upside, man. He got some upside. We're gonna bring in Andy Dalton. Don't you put that bad juju on me. Don't you put that bad juju on me, bro. Raiders. Speaking of, I think I'm gonna smoke some Acapulco. Acapulco. But yeah, man. So how y'all feel about what Kubiak said? Let me know how y'all feeling about what Spytek had to say. Right? Spytek said Aiden O'Connell has played in a lot of games. He's won some games. He's had some 300-yard passing games. He had some 5 touchdown games in the first half. 4 touchdowns, whatever. You know what it is. So don't be surprised, man. Don't be surprised, right? You know what I'm here for. I'm that dude, right? And before you leave, man, tip the plug. Means hit them thumbs up. Show some love to the channel, right? Tip the plug, Raider plug for all your Raider info. But man, I told you guys, I'm the guy that comes in. I tell y'all what's going to happen. I try to break the fall for you, right? The Max Crosby trade. Nobody listened to me. The Devontae Adams trade. Nobody listened, right? A year before the shit happened. I try to tell y'all. I've been telling y'all, Aiden O'Connell's going to be a starter in this league. So don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if my guy starts this year. I'm telling you. Don't be surprised. You're going to hit it off with Clint Kubiak. Clint Kubiak said he needs a mature man to be that leader in the locker room. Aiden O'Connell is going on what, 35? I mean, damn, he's got 3 years in the NFL, 25 years in college. He's got to be 35, right? Somewhere in there. But no, I think he's like 27. So come on, man. 27 years old. You're developed. You're good, right? You've been in the league 3 years. You've had 15 head coaches, 35 quarterback coaches, 95 offensive coordinators, 65 offensive line coaches, right? It's just been a whirlwind for Aiden O'Connell. But guess what? All he does is come in and be like, blue, 52, simple, peek, drop dimes, right? If you give him time, he drops dimes. So don't sleep on Aiden O'Connell, man. I'm just trying to prepare the nation and all the people like my guy Lawrence that hates my boy Aiden O'Connell, that when he comes in and wins those games, and y'all going to be like, damn, that fucking rebel. He was right again. But it's cool. It's cool. It's cool, though. It's cool. So just be prepared. Just be prepared. Be prepared. That's all I'm trying to do. Prepare y'all. Soften the blow so you don't get your hearts ripped out, right away. But if they do bring in somebody, it's going to be a quarterback competition. We already know Aiden O'Connell can take snaps from under center. We already know he can read defenses. We already know he can throw with accuracy. He can throw with timing. He can throw non-timing, right? He can throw all over the field. What? Why does my phone keep ringing? Um, he could do all that shit. Hold on, I gotta read this damn message. Make sure nobody's dying over here or something. Oh, okay. Yeah, got that. Sweet. Um, so what else we got? To Andy Dalton, man. Andy Dalton. Stop with that. AOC is a mega supporter. I don't care who he supports, bro. And you shouldn't either, as long as we win damn football games. It doesn't matter what he looks like. You know, look, y'all talking about Aiden O'Connell's a Bible thumper and goofy. Come on, man. He is nowhere even close to as a Bible thumper as Mendoza. You don't hear him mention God in every single subject or his faith or, you know, what got him here like Mendoza does. I love it. I love it. I love it for every single Raider fan that wants to hate on Jesus, that wants to hate on faith, and then wants to hate on Derek Carr and AOC because of his religion. And now you're going to be stuck with Mendoza, who's going to throw that shit out there more than both of those dudes. And y'all going to have to eat this shit up because you want Mendoza. But you're not worried about the goofy Mendoza, who's a virgin and never even touched a cooter in his life, being quarterback in Las Vegas, the city of sin, with strippers everywhere. I keep saying this. This dude gonna get some trim and lose his mind, and we ain't never gonna have a quarterback. He gonna go on a binge in Las Vegas from club to club. Like, damn, I didn't know it was like that. So y'all willing to do some crazy ass shit like that, but y'all aren't willing to take a chance in Aiden O'Connell, who the GM, the owner, Brady is brought in. Everybody has said this dude can do the job that we want him to do. But except for Lawrence and Mitchell Renz. AOC works at the Bunny Ranch. Hey, you don't. He might be bouncing. He might be bouncing a little more than you think at the Bunny Ranch. You don't know, Lawrence. You don't know. Don't sleep on AOC. Don't sleep on him. Telling you. So yeah, safety wise, man, safety wise, the Raiders need a safety. They need a safety. They need a safety bad. They need one that could cover. They need one that could break up plays. They need one that could turn the damn ball over, because we cannot turn the ball over. Oh, what we got? Top. So who is your number one safeties? Let me know. 11 people in here. Come on, man. I want to see some damn answers. Who is your number one safety that the Raiders can possibly get, right? I don't mean like, I don't want to hear y'all say some crazy shit like Caleb Downs, because we couldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole, bro. Couldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole. Well, who y'all got? Is there some sleepers out there? We've talked about it a million times on this channel. I'm trying to go through my shit and see what I got here. Guys that I think the Raiders have a chance on. Emmanuel McNeil Warren out of Toledo. He is a man that is starting to have a little bit of a slide in this draft. A lot of people had him going in the first round. Some people are starting to think that there's some issues that he might not go in the first round. I'm gonna go get him. Damn, stop bugging me. I wasn't talking to y'all. Sorry, I was talking to my phone. Hopefully they're watching. But we know Caleb Downs, man, is that dude. My number one guy in this was Caleb Downs, but with the injury, it has moved to Dylan Thieneman. I think Dylan Thieneman out of Oregon is a dog, bro, and his smarts back there reminds me of a quarterback playing defense, and that's what we need. That's what we need. A guy that's fast enough to get the sideline to sideline, you know, to catch these guys when they're passed off in zone, right? To be able to catch up with them and keep up with them and make plays. A guy I haven't talked about much that I think is moving up the boards is Jason Kilgore, South Carolina. Except one thing. He's just an excellent box safety. We don't need a box safety, bro. We got enough guys to play in the box. There's plenty of boxes to play in Vegas. They're all over. And we got enough guys to play in those boxes. I don't think we take a guy like that. Now, this next guy, Bud Clark at a TCU. I like Bud Clark, man. I really do. I think he's, in Vegas, the wind might blow. Excuse me. In Vegas, the wind is going to blow, and it's going to blow hella fast. And Bud Clark might get blown away by that wind because I think he's like 105 pounds. Okay, he's like 172, whatever he is. Anyway, Bud Clark. If the wind blows, he could get blown away right out of the stadium, and we might never see him again. You got to put on some weight, is what I'm trying to say. Put some rocks in your pocket. I don't know. Put on a backpack with some weights in that shit, and curl your ass till you get some damn muscles. I don't know. But Bud Clark, damn good safety, can cover, can make plays. A damn good tackler for as small as he is. At the next level, I just, yeah. I have health concerns, right? I have concerns with Bud Clark being able to sustain a 17-game season as a starting safety in the NFL right now. Now, you get to a good spot like the Vegas Raiders, you get to the all the trainers and all the amenities we have in this multi-trillion-dollar practice facility, and Bud Clark can be that guy. But this guy, I really, really like. Genesis Smith, man. Genesis Smith, his name is the beginning. And it could be the beginning of something good in Las Vegas Raiders, right? With Kubiak coming in, with my guy Robbie Leonard, right, being the head coach. It could be something, the beginning of something good. So why not go get a guy that has his damn name as the beginning in Genesis? He started the shit all, right? So, Genesis Smith, Arizona. Very versatile, very intelligent player. He has intelligence, brain. He definitely has the speed to get sideline to sideline, right? And, start on one side of the field and end up in the numbers on the other side and make a play, right? Genesis is that dude. I like him a lot. Keontae Scott was a corner in Miami, I do believe. Played a little bit of safety, experienced senior. Made some big plays in the championship games. Made some big plays for Miami throughout the playoffs, right? Throughout the season. Keontae Scott, I wouldn't mind. Where are we taking him? It doesn't matter. Just put him on the damn team. We need a safety. This next guy is a guy that is very, very high on the Raiders list from the little birdie in my ear. Except they have a problem. AJ Halsey is a productive safety with good size. But what do we do with the three we have in the building? You have Jeremy Chin. We don't need another banger. We need a guy that can cover sideline to sideline. And as much as I would love to have AJ Halsey come in and, be that old school Ronnie Lott type thumper in the safety, in the free safety position, I just don't know if the speed is there. I don't know what his 40 time was, but coverage wise, I don't know. But in the box, he's definitely that guy. Kamari Ramsey is a guy from USC that, like Greedy Vance, has damn good upsize and technical skills. Hold up. I think my groceries are on the porch. But yeah, has damn good technical, damn good size. Oh, shut up. This is groceries. Pinche güey. It's just me, dog. Yeah, just me. Rough. Alright, sorry I had to put these damn groceries in. That damn refrigerator. I wasn't expecting on being this long. But it's been so long since I talked football, I just can't help it. Where was I? I sweat my ass off. Amari Scott from Miami is nice. Yeah, I wouldn't mind that either. But as you're seeing a trend here, right? You're seeing a trend here. We are on number 8, AJ Halsey. This is number 8. Oh, we were on number 9, Kamari Ramsey. So Kamari Ramsey is the number 9th. This is their list, not mine. We already did my list. I told you it would change. It will change. And I have a new one coming up of my top 100 guys before the draft. But I'm gonna drop my shit right before the draft because I have my reasons. Um, anyways, Robert Spears Jennings out of Oklahoma. Experienced safety, but a lot of these guys are just our box players. They're not. There's not too many free safeties in this draft that could be that dude, right? Then you have at 11, Zakee Wheatley, Penn State guy, damn good playmaker, good size, but can he cover at the next level? That is the question. Then we have the next guy out of Miami. Somebody already put it in the comments. Jacoby Thomas, high energy defender with good closing speed. I like this part. I like this part a lot. Closing speed means you're fast. Means if you get beat, you have good recovery speed. You have the speed to get back into play and you're not completely out of it. Like, I won't name names, but anyways, Jacoby Thomas, like Keontae Scott, right? Made some damn plays in Miami. These guys made it to a national championship. They almost won the national championship if their quarterback just had 2 more inches. We talked about that. Bishop Fitzgerald. This is a guy out of USC who's solid in coverage, but solid is not what we need right now. We need a guy that can come in and play safety, free safety, and nothing against Isaiah Palamau. I just think he's more of that, physical in the box type guy. But Bishop Fitzgerald out of USC, solid in coverage, but needs work, man. Needs work. VJ Payne, another guy that just lays the lumber. And I think this guy, I would love to see wearing silver and black. I'm going to go out on a limb here. Ahmed Moses, SMU. He's a thumper. He's a guy that can play in the box, but he's a guy that I think could cover, right? I think he's a guy he's a playmaker. He's one of those guys that just seems to find his way around the football. And we need guys like that. We need some playmakers. We need a lot of playmakers. A lot of safeties and hybrids and different builds too. Kind of weird. Yeah, there is all kinds of guys. But so those are 15 guys right now. Wait, what the fuck just happened? Yeah, so those are 15 guys that I believe can play on this Raiders team and help them out. And there's a couple more. There's 3 that they don't even have on this list in their top 15. So I'm gonna have to change that. Stephen Sullivan was good. So if you need a safety, man, what I'm saying is you don't have to take one in the second round unless a guy like Thieneman falls there, right? Unless a guy like McNeil Warren, I believe, can be that guy, right? But as far as, Bud Clark, Genesis, I think you could take those guys late 3rd, maybe early 4th. Don't talk about the guys I pick. What? People might think. You know damn well we are in agreement, bro. What do I say that you don't agree with? Fucker. Yeah, so this ain't my list, bro. This is just a list of the top 15 projected corners, and your guy was where was your guy? Your guy was 12th on the list, bro. 12th. Come on. Bring something better. 12th. We're missing somebody on this list. Who is it? It is Lorenzo Styles. I'm telling you. Lorenzo flipping Styles. So, yeah. I said this, and I'm going to say it again. The Raiders could have been in a way better position if they just wouldn't have listened to us fans and beat the Kansas City Chiefs. If they would have listened to Rebel and not played Aiden O'Connell, we would have never beat Kansas City. And you know what we would have had? First pick in the first round, first pick in the second round, first pick in the third round, first pick in the fourth round. And now we pick fourth and third and second. But where the Raiders are picking, we have a chance in the second round to get the fourth best player. In the third round, we have a chance to get the second best player. Third best player. In the fourth round, we have a chance to get the second best player. And then 2 more players in that round. So the Raiders are in a damn good spot, man. Again, we get a top 5 player in each round. If you cannot win the draft with that, then maybe Lawrence needs to be fired as a GM and I need to be promoted. I'm just saying. Rip it and flip it. OG in the building. What's good, my guy? What's good? Hey, what pick? What? Hey, what pick do you got? That AOC is any good? I know that's the only thing you don't agree with me on, but that's all right. That's all right, bro. You're going to find out. You're going to find out this year under a real offense with a real offensive line who the future MVP of this league is. Would be better off with the you can't say that's it. I'm gonna time you out for that. Where the fuck you at? That's it. You can no longer get away with this shit. No longer. Put in timeout. There. You have been sent to the slammer for 10 seconds. 10 seconds. How dare you? How dare you come on my show and say Flock Nation? What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Think you are Max Crosby? It's hard to say, Lawrence. It's hard to say, right? The Raiders could have used that 14th overall pick. I'm not gonna lie. But it's not like we can't use Max Crosby, right? I mean, you got a Max Crosby on a mission that's dead set on just destroying lives. And this dude is going to be ruthless, man. So, would we have liked to have a first overall pick next year? Yes. Would we have liked to have a 14th pick to go with our first overall pick in this draft? Absolutely. Absolutely. But Max has got some shit to do, man. He's got a it's only 10 seconds. Where'd you go? No. He's got some shit to prove. He's gonna have to win Raider Nation back. And he says this is gonna be his best year ever. We've heard that for the last 25 years, since he's been a Raider. Should the country make a law that Tiger Woods never be arrested? What? I know folks still ain't crying about having Crosby. They will. They're gonna cry. They're gonna cry. I feel like they should have renegotiated his contract. I think we should have got a couple of those millions back. I mean, to be honest, Max Crosby fan, no Max Crosby fan, Raider fan, no Raider fan. Even with the blinders on, you can't look at what we've paid this man the last 4 years and say he's earned that shit. When guys making $5 million are getting 10 sacks like it's nothing, and pressures. So, shot it from the rooftops, maxi pad, freestyles too much, which causes big plays. We all know that. But I believe with this coaching staff, I'm hoping that Max Crosby's ego maybe shrank just a little bit, right? Talking about his players, getting with the guys, maybe not playing 100% of the snaps, right? He's been on the talks with Kubiak, with Spytek, of maybe not being on the field 100%. So, hopefully, Oh well, Indiana give what? Indian giving ass. What you talking about? um but those freestyles is, that's how they let him play, right? That's how they let him play. And you can't blame that on Max for them giving him that leadway, right? And I believe this coaching staff, his buddy, right? His buddy, Robbie Leonard, may be the guy. Maybe the guy that can get to Max and say, bro, let's just try it. The first couple games. Let's see how it goes. Right? If he's even ready for the first couple games. Let's just see how it looks out there with him not out there 100% of the snaps. If they can save Max from himself to go from 100% of the snaps a game down to 85, that just prolongs his career, right? And hopefully makes us better. I'm hoping. We want to restructure your contract 98. Yes, yes, yes. I mean, you got sent back from a trade, bro. That's like I said before, that's like it's like being married and you and your wife get divorced, right? You have a breakup, divorce, she moves out, and then she can't find nowhere to go. Nobody wants her. The cooter ain't what it used to be. And you feel sorry and be like, I'll take you back home. Come on, come back home, baby. That's what it is. That's what it is, bro. He went somewhere else. The grass wasn't greener. And now he's back going, oh, I'm all in. I'm all in. But you should have been all in from the whole time, bro. That's all. That's all. So no, I don't hold grudges. I let that shit go. I still got my 98 jersey. It's not burned. You will probably see it one of these times this year. Probably not. Maybe next year. I don't know. Depends. But I ain't mad at Max. I'm gonna let that shit go. I'm gonna let it go. I'm glad he's back. I would hate for him to to been a Raven and beat us in an AFC championship game or some stupid shit like that. Right? Some dumbass shit. Which only the Raiders would trade away a player and then end up facing them in a game that's meaningful and lose, right? So would I would like the money? Yes. Would I like the picks? Yes. But I can't be mad at Max being back, man. He's done nothing but sacrifice for a mediocre, not even a mediocre, a poor, piss poor ass team for 8 years. So if anybody deserves a chance to see what this team is going to be like, under decent management, a decent staff, decent coach, with actually players to help him on the defense, it's Max, man. So if he doesn't, I might burn the jersey. I'm just saying. Max just likes to hear Max talk too damn much. And he likes to be in the limelight, bro. He likes to be talked about. But, what player with millions of dollars in an ego doesn't want to be talked about all the time? It's just where your head goes. Yeah, I'm glad he's rocking the silver black, man. It would have been hard seeing him go into an AFC team that do we play the Ravens this year? I don't know. But more than likely they would have had us on the schedule this year or next year. And that's hard to watch. Send him to the NFC at least, right? If we do decide to trade him, Chicago is the place. Bye-bye. Go to Chicago. But good thing for us, our good thing for y'all Crosby fans is nobody's going to give up 2 first rounds. Even if he has a breakout year, the news is already out there. It's already been put in the universe. Nobody's going to trade for him. He's a guy. You watch any Ted Hurst film yet? Yes. Yes. I would be happy as hell if they can get Ted Hurst in any round. In any round. At 36, I would take him at 36. I would. I would take him at 36. I think his route running, his body control, his balance, going up for the catch, his hand size, his speed even. Yeah, I'm 100% on that, man. Wide receivers is like safety. I don't care who you got, just give me one, right? Now, I would love to get one in the second or third, but damn, you could get these receivers like all the way to the 5th round. I think there's still going to be guys there where you're like, damn, I wouldn't mind having him on my team. Usually in the draft, I'm like, God, come on, please don't pick this guy. Please don't pick this guy. And then they pick this guy, right? This year, I'm good, man. I like a lot of linebackers. I like a lot of safeties. For the first time, I like a lot of wide receivers. I think this wide receiver class is just stacked. Like, if you don't walk away with a number one receiver or at least a high end number two in the first 3 rounds for any team in this draft, then I think y'all failed. I think y'all failed. Um, so yeah, I'd be ecstatic with Ted Hurst. Again, I said, I'd be happy with Brazel as well. Um, Antonio Williams. That I think we get a guy that everybody's going to be happy with the receivers, with the safeties, even with edge, man. Another thing that we haven't talked about a lot, right? Because we got Quiddy Payne, because we brought back Malcolm Kuntz. But that doesn't mean you stop swinging for the fences, right? At the biggest positions in football, you don't know what Max Crosby's future is. Is that knee going to be 100%? Does he play 17 games this year? With not knowing that, with Jafari Harvey, GeoMex, what's good, my guy? Been a minute. With Jafari Harvey, where is he going to be? Is he going to be on the practice squad again? Is he going to do enough in camp where they decide to bring him up, for a couple games, see what he's got? We don't know. I wouldn't be pissed off at all if the Raiders decide to take an edge in the second round at 36. Yes, at 36, right? If Akeem Mesidor falls, who else? There's a bunch of guys that could fall that I would love to see in the at 36. But then again, if you look at it, there's some of those edge rushers that I wouldn't mind taking in the third, in the fourth, even in the fifth, that I think they could contribute to this team. I think there's a lot of players in a lot of positions that can contribute. I think it's stacked for number two receivers, only a few number ones. Only a few number ones right now. Mesidor, yeah, there's I said, Lawrence, we've talked about it. Mesidor goes in the first round, right? I've said this since the beginning of college football season. I think Mesidor is a first round, guy. But the way the draft is starting to shape up, there's a lot of players that are starting to turn heads. There's a lot of receivers. There's a lot of, edge rushers and there might even be some tackles like Max E. Hennicore that, I think that should be the Raiders pick no matter what they do. They should just try to move up and get Max E. Hennicore for the right tackle spot. I think we'd be good for a long, long time on this team. And, we wouldn't be picking in the top 10 or 15 for a long, long time. But if you could get Mesidor to fall to the 20s with the picks we have, is there a scenario where the Raiders don't move up to get a guy like that? I mean, if a guy falls like that, Akeem Mesidor, or, again, I'd be happy with, like I said, there's probably 8 or 9 edge rushers that I would love to be on this team that you can get in the later rounds. Yeah, I like edge early, Mesidor for sure. And the guy from Texas A&M, Hal. I like Romello Height, bro. I really like Romello Height. I think if you could get him to fall to the third, with us picking third overall in the third round, that would be a steal if he does fall to there. But I don't know. I'm looking at my mock drafts. Before I came on, I was looking at a couple mock drafts because I haven't posted any of them but one, I think. It was the teams of every team. A couple of them I did on these lives, but I haven't really posted them. But I was looking at them and I was like, man, a month ago, those drafts look like they might hit at a lot of positions. But now I'm like, damn, I think a lot of these guys have moved around and moved around an awful lot. You don't think Mesidor gets past Dallas? Which pick? If Dallas could get Caleb Downs and pull off Akeem Mesidor, That's filthy. That's filthy. And um, what I say we were going to talk about tomorrow? Oh, we're going to talk about some quarterbacks, some sleepers that I think the Raiders could get in the later rounds. But we're going to be on the computer tomorrow. I'm tired of sitting on this damn couch. My back is already hurting 2 hours sitting up like this. But we're gonna go on the computer tomorrow and do some mock drafts. So make sure you pull up. We're gonna do a couple different mock drafts, some PFF, some pro football focus. Right, we'll do a couple, see where these guys land. Because I did, like I said, I was looking at some and I did one earlier. And the guys, like Mike Washington, they had at like 120, 140. My boy Mike Washington has moved all the way up into the top 50. Julian Neal, which I kept telling y'all, watch out for the Arkansas Razorback corner, Julian Neal. He's going to climb up these drawers as soon as he has his pro day. As soon as I thought he would do better but he didn't. So the speed wasn't there, but he's still a dog, man. He's still a dog. And Julian Neal, they had in the fourth round. He's done moved up to 63. So the beginning of the third round. Guess who picks at 66? Or 63? Where do we pick? Somewhere right in there. So Julian Neal could possibly be there in the third round is what I'm saying. And if the Raiders do not go get a corner like that, I would be very, very, very disappointed. However, I don't think he could play the slot. So I'd be okay if Julian Neal is not a Razorback. But somebody's going to get a damn good corner. I just don't think he's better than Darian Porter. And I don't think he has, what Eric Stokes has right now just because he's young. But a lot of guys, Romello Height, he's definitely moved up some boards. R. Mason Thomas has fell down some boards. My guy Monroe Freely, who I had as the number one tackle in this draft, has fallen on a couple, boards and a couple predictions of where he might go. So it's starting to take shape, man. The draft is starting to take shape. We're going to do it. We're going to pull some mock drafts. 2 hours and 17 minutes. It's been a minute since I've been on. I appreciate everybody pulling up and rocking with me. And the 10 in here that stays strong. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Protect your mind, yourself, your family. And as always, just win, baby. Raiders. Peace. Much love, y'all.